Greetings, everybody, and welcome to 21E25 and episode 64 of the Sickcast, aka the Siblings in Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Noah, joined once again by my wonderful buddies and co-hosts, Thomas and Donnie. Great to see you guys. Happy 2025. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or first timer just testing the waters, we are all siblings in cardboard. Guys, how are the holidays? How was, the absence of flesh and blood? How is life? How are you guys doing?
Life is lifing. I was telling Thomas before we started recording that I was looking at my class schedule a few days ago and realized that I'm almost exactly halfway through my bachelor's. When I finish my next class, I will have earned an associate's degree. So that is an
Nice.
absolutely huge milestone for me.
Congratulations ahead of time. That is a huge milestone. Oh man, dude, I remember. Feels so good. It feels so good to get those done. Oh,
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to that little piece of paper. I mean, I know it doesn't
It
mean a lot
means-
to a lot of people, but an associate's is really going to mean something to me because I never thought I was going to be the college guy. I never thought I was going to go to college, never expected it for myself. But here I am, actually completing my program, and I'm at the halfway point and about to earn that piece of paper. It really means a lot to me.
I'm glad you kept that mindset open that you could be that person that
yeah.
continues to improve and continues to learn new things.
Some people don't. Some people, yeah.
I'm just disappointed in myself that it took me this long to wake up and realize, hey, you need to do this.
You know that whole better late than never thing. We don't have to go down that roll. But
Yeah.
Well, my achievement's much less cool. I hit level 96 in Path of Exile 2 today.
Oh, nice. On hardcore? Or?
No, softcore, but still, it's to the point where you have to do a lot of stuff to make any progress in the game. And any mistake, and you lose hours and hours and hours of gameplay.
Yeah,
Ouch.
because deaths cost a lot of experience. Experience is a lot of time. I finally got a character back to maps in hardcore, so I haven't grinded up there. I'm only at 70 right now.
Hey, I got a message from a mutual friend of ours said that when we were recording, I had to pick on you and tell you to stop sending his gear to Standard League.
So I was saying, yeah, Littler. Yeah,
Littler said stop
yeah.
sending his gear to Standard League. I haven't played a lot of Flesh and Blood though. I know what I'm taking to Battle Hard in Atlanta, which is this weekend. I've got a good idea of what I'm taking to Memphis, unless things really change in the Hunted, which they might. We've got a lot of cards to see.
Yeah.
But I don't feel very incentivized to practice for this weekend. It's kind of a dead meta. I know what to expect. I understand how all the heroes work. The decks are kind of set, unless someone comes up with something really tricky or rogue, which I don't know why you would bust that out at a Battle Hardened. I think mostly people are going to bring like their pet decks or like a net deck, one or the other, right?
Well, it's a competitive scene, right? It's Atlanta. I mean, we got a pretty competitive atmosphere. I think there's going to be a mixture of both. I think some people are really comfortable on their pet decks. I know a couple of people have been talking about in chats and things like that. Like, well, what do I bring? What do I bring? It's a Battle Hardened. I mean, if I had Dory made to where I actually felt like it was a real deck, I'd probably play Dory. But since I don't, I'm probably just going to play Azalea because I think it's just as fun. I also think it just has a better win rate. But
That's kind of a weird mindset for me. I don't really understand that. Justin expressed the same kind of concerns, but this is a Battle Hardened. This is the biggest event that we've had in Atlanta since the last Battle Hardened. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Why are people not treating it as a bigger deal than that?
I guess from my scope, I've actually been traveling to a lot of the events, so it seems smaller to me, even though I am very enthusiastic about an event that I could just drive to in 30, 40 minutes. So I am stoked. Some of my friends from Alabama will be here too, so I get to hang out with them. So I am excited. Let's not put it that way. But I'm heavily distracted by video games, holidays, and also the enormous amount of prep time I went into trying to understand a format I'd never played in, which was Living Legend. So had a little bit of burnout after all the effort that went into learning Living Legend format. So just recovering from that, right?
I mean, that's fair. It's just I've got a little more time right now because I'm on winter break, but have been doing other things like catching up on family time, so I haven't been prepping very much for the Battle Hardened either, but I feel guilty about it. And it doesn't sound like anybody
Huh.
else feels guilty for not
Well,
prepping for the Battle
Well,
Hardened.
no, I feel guilty.
I prepped super hard for PQ season, and it's the same meta minus Jarl, right? Jarl's the only thing that got added after PQ season. So all of my prep there will translate over to this Battle Hardened this weekend.
Okay.
And that was with
Gotcha.
Vincent too. So I'll be playing Vincent.
Good
Maybe
pick.
it'll end up on camera. Is it going to be streamed? Do we know if Menzant's coming to stream Battle Hardened Atlanta?
I actually don't know, but I can maybe check real quick because usually he changes his Twitter handle to let people know where he's going to be next.
I know MinMax won't be there just because they were like, we won't be there till Memphis. And I was like, dang, I really thought you guys would be in Atlanta.
Yeah, some more Dynasty boxes for you.
Oh man.
No, the next event Mansant will be at is Toronto.
So we'll have to see if anybody streams it. It might not be streamed.
That would be disappointing.
Somebody's got to be streaming it. Who's running it? Isn't it Star City?
I think it's SCG, but I'm not 100% sure.
CGCon?
They usually have somebody's usually streaming it. We'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. You guys over there at Battle Hardened Atlanta will figure it out. We just got to show up and have a good time and play.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to do anyway.
Is it the same location that it was last time?
Yes, it's at GWC, Georgia World Congress Center. I think it's even the same place inside the Georgia World Congress Center, and it is hosted by Star City Games.
Cool, so we have to worry about them getting kicked out in the finals again. Awesome.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible. There are CYB News and CYB Enigmas still, and CYB Jarls are a thing too. So games can go long.
Man, I don't want to play Jarl. How many Jarls do we think are going to be there? And I really
I
don't
think
like that
he'll-
Less
matchup.
than 5.
I think he'll be fairly popular. He's going to be kind of a pain.
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, judging by the market, those cards haven't budged. In fact, they've only gone up. So it makes me wonder how many people are going to be on Jarl. I mean, it's a Battle Hardened, right? Like, it's a good time to play the deck and slam it into the meta and kind of get an idea of its ups and downs.
I think if you've play tested Jarl quite a bit, his list is pretty strong. I've seen some good results from that hero now that people have started refining the list down.
Okay, but Heart the Mistveil still rules the world, so
Oh yeah.
why would you play Jarl into a meta that's full of Enigma
Hold on,
and
hold on.
new
If you
and Zen?
Enigma, yes, Enigma's a nightmare for any Guardian, but if you show up as new or Zen and you don't understand the Jarl matchup, he's going to flatten you. It's your game to lose very quickly. Because like if you go, okay, this is a good turn to break boots, and Jarl's at like 35, you probably lose the game, no matter how influential that boot break was, right? Same thing with gloves. You gotta keep all the gear on. Do not take your clothes off in front of Jarl. He will show you what's up. Like, dude, you better be close to taxing his hand. If you're not close to like taxing 2 or 3 cards out of his hand every turn, you want to keep the gear on. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be a competent Mistveil player in order to win against Jarl.
Well, I mean, you say that, but it's different, right? Like he's a different hero. If you're not familiar in playing into ice heroes, maybe you didn't even play when Icelander was still here, or you just have letting those terrible memories make you forget.
I mean, even so, the MST heroes are blue heavy. I mean, there's plenty of extra blues, extra resources that can be worked into the curve. So I'm just saying, I don't know if he's actually going to be that popular.
It's funny because that's a matchup we've play tested a lot, or I've watched play test a lot. I haven't personally done it a lot. New does not like frostbites. She has extra blues, but her playlines, she doesn't like her playlines to cost things.
That's fair.
Right. You want your resources to go
definitely
toward
fair.
the attack reactions and the things like that. The last thing you want to do is pay 2 to break your boots.
No, if you have
I definitely like the fact that Justin Nick costs 0.
I was about to say your Justin it costs 0, or
one
like
for that, yeah.
if you have a frostbite, you can't swing your dagger and play hiss. Like it's
That is
rougher than
bad.
you think.
There's a few annoying spots. but I'm
Siren's
just
Call
saying.
costs 2.
Ugh.
So you can't swing dagger, play Siren's Call if you have a frostbite.
Ugh.
She's blue heavy, but she likes her deck to be at the curve that she built it at, and frostbites can really hamper her a lot more
Maybe
than
it's
you
just
think.
me. I play like 36 blues on my list, like into most games. So
I
I'm
hate
blue
it.
heavy anyway.
Even with the blue battering bolts or Bolton shots, I hate it. I hate playing against Jarl as
And,
Azalea.
and,
My arrows just start costing, and I hate it.
and if you do get matched up against the Jarl, he's going to try to break that headpiece. That's his goal. He breaks the headpiece, and if he can keep his life total high, he'll just beat you to death with his weapon. Okay.
Yep.
So even though things are pretty static here, you said Guardian cards or Ice and Earth cards are continuing to push up. We got at least a little bit of market change happening going into the Hunted.
It's all the same cards. They just continue to grow or fluctuate. Nothing's really jumped out. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some diamonds in the rough that I miss. And I watch some people, and I think recently I watch a lot of like the other people that do the markets and stuff. And so I like to see where other people's heads are at, and who out there in the flesh and blood world is crunching those numbers too. But I mean, a lot of the same cards we've talked about continue to see price increases. I mean, we can just start with a couple of different ones, I guess. I do want to note that Findle Spring Tunic, at least for Welcome to Wrath, is now back above $229, whether that's a Christmas ploy, or not. But specifically, the Welcome to Wraith one has now went back up to $229 as a lightly played, and it's $244. So in some cases, it's almost more expensive than when I first got into the game.
Yeah, same here. I remember mine was like $205.
Probably the craziest thing I've ever seen come full circle.
I think I got mine at like 185. So yeah, that's crazy.
It's pretty crazy. We will get to that because there's a couple of cards that we're going to speculate on. One of which does come out of Welcome to Wraith, which I think kind of has a hand in all this. But I just wanted to note that. Let's just jump in. I mean, Ripple Away should be on everybody's radar. I think this is a weird card.
So good.
It's so good, right? Continuously sees play. It's a card that you look at it and you go, man, but I got to discard this at the right time. But it's like one of the best gotchas ever to some of these action cards that are creating these tokens. It's wildly good. So for those who don't know, Ripple Away is a 2-cost blue. Or you're not going to play it.
That's not true. That's another reason it's good. It's a 2 that swings for 4.
True.
Yeah.
It is 2 that swings for 4. It is a break point. It will win you the game probably with that 4. So let me check that out. But majority of the times, you're not going to be paying for 2. You will be using its effect, which is instant. Discard this. If an action card would create 1 or more tokens this turn, instead it creates that many -1 of each of those tokens. So obviously good against codexes, good against
spectral manifestations,
spectral manifestations, things like that. Things that are creating some kind of a token that you can just discard and nix it.
If Viscerai messes up and has his Malefics already out and just plays a Rune Ranger Swarm out of hand as his first thing, you could discard it and then time walk him.
Oh yeah,
because he doesn't make any auras.
Because he doesn't make a aura,
and then the Rune Ranger doesn't get go again.
Doesn't have go again. Wow.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's brutal.
Will probably also work on fealty tokens and the other things coming out in Hunted.
It will certainly be very strong against fealty tokens.
Another reason to pick it up. Another reason why it's going up probably as well. So it's at $20. I think in the last 3 months it's went up about 20% total. It had a pretty high curve towards the beginning of December, kind of shot all the way up, and then it's kind of just monolined out. But this is another meta-defined card. So like your sensors, like your amnesias, like your weakest links, these things are going to rise and fall constantly depending on the meta. Ripple Away, though, just feels to me that you need to have a play set. I think we're going into a season, especially with these newer heroes with a fealty, depending on how effective it is, that Ripple Away might get even better. But I just think it's something you should have 3 of. I definitely always watch Ripple Away. This is generic, guys. You know how those generics are. Any generic Majestic, you wake up and you'll find yourself, having to pay $20 a card just because today Flesh and Blood decided it was a real card, or something gets spoiled. But do get your hands on the Ripple Aways. $20. I'd see this going all the way up to 30, maybe even 35. If it was like its craziest peak, never weakest leak. I don't think never gets up to like the 60s, but definitely goes up. Flamescale Furnace is the next card. We've talked about it a lot, but it's almost at $90 for the rainbow foil, which I think is actually crazy.
It
Because
just
you guys
bumped
have
up
to
like
think about,
$5 today.
yeah, I think the closer we get, the hype, I think more people are just, maybe Christmas came, I've got a little extra liquid funds, whatever it may be. $90. I knew this was going to come back strong. I didn't think it would come back this strong, but feels good. Note that it's not the cold foils either that are going up, and we'll talk about that. But I think the Flesh and Blood world is all about playability, and they just want the rainbow foils, man. They end up being a little cheaper, and that's all that matters.
This card is so strong with Tomb of Imperial Flame. So any deck that plays Tome of Imperial Flame is going to play this card. Like, you can get large bursts of resources. So you could arsenal a Tome of Imperial Flame. You draw the hand that wants to use that many resources. You play it. You basically fix your hand to be the most ideal 3 cards after the 2 red pitch, and go from there with just tons of resources. Which I think, look at both heroes, they might be pretty resource intensive, right? If you don't have your discount on your weapons, maybe you can use those extra resources, or just the warrior straight up doesn't. He's going to want to swing his weapon multiple times. He's not the one who gets the discount, right?
Yes,
he is the one that
equips daggers.
Okay, then it'll be Syndra who probably will want to like generate some extra resources, right?
I mean, it just depends on what kind of daggers she gets. Because I can't imagine, just having three copies of Kadachis. It's got to be some kind of.
Or maybe you have a bit of. Actually, if you think about it, even if you don't have like this crazy good hand, let's say you only have like 1 Draconic Chain Link, you could still throw your daggers if you have all the resources floating from Tome of Imperial Flame. You could get your daggers back, even though it costs like 2. So yeah, I think not Tome of Imperial Flame, the chess piece Flamescale Furnace, it's already good because it blocks 2 and then blocks 1, but it's also a conditional like extra resource, sometimes more every turn.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get 3 total block out of it. It's amazing. Its effect is really good. I mean, you can't ask for much more. Draconic equipment though, so at least it's specified. But I mean, $90. I could see this hitting up to $100 rainbow foil, especially if these decks get meta. Then I would say I think the cold foils go up a little bit more. But definitely not cold foil flame scales right now. I like the price keeps going up on these rainbow foils, and cold foils are still right about 118. So
at this point, just buy the cold foil.
Sure.
I mean, like that's
it's like a $20-$30 difference.
Yeah, but I mean, some people might just like the rainbow foil. I don't know. Maybe they like foil out their deck and they're like, I want it all rainbow foil. I don't know. There's those max rarity guys, and then there's those ones that just want the cohesion, and then the majority just want playability. So we've talked about this one as well, but it actually went down slightly, just slightly, but it's been up over 26% even in the last 3 months, over 100%, and that's Leave No Witnesses. I think this card just continues. It like, and when I mean it went down, I mean it went from like the high of 28 back down to like a $20 range, which is really crazy. I've always looked at this card and just I've seen it at $10, $15, and I've just been like, this is wildly under. Like it's one of the greatest cards I think ever created. It's a 0 cost. It hits the arsenal. It's at a break point. It comes off of Codex. It usually comes with some absolute trickery in hand. I mean, like it just is the most annoying thing in the world.
It makes, if you just think about it, it just makes Codex of Frailty the most like unhinged card ever. It's like, it's a 1-card bomb, and there aren't many true 1-card, almost no context bombs in the game. Codex of Frailty with Leave No Witnesses in graveyard is nuts,
especially if your opponent has no arsenal and has to take a card. And then it's like, okay, I put this, and it's like, hey, that's really cool. And you go, I put this, and it's like, and you have 1 less card, and I'm gonna hit the card you just put in arsenal. And it's at a break point.
And if you protect it, it has -1 next turn.
Yep.
Have fun.
So it's like, hey, if you got a really good card, then I'm I'm taking the cards out of your hand, and then you have no turn, so and I already know what's in your arsenal, so it's like it just feels so bad. I mean, it feels so bad to get hit with that card, and it's brutal.
Feels
And
really good playing it though.
it does. I'm sure it feels. Look, I've never done the codex leave, but when I see it happen to me, I just like try and envision. I'm like, now if I was the one doing that, I would feel pretty good too. But I hate this.
Yeah, every time
Especially
you
as
block down
Azalea,
to
I
two
hate it.
cards in hand and you have nothing in arsenal, and then they end their turn with the codex,
Oh.
you're just like, oh god.
Those moments are so beautiful.
Oh, here goes a piece of equipment, right? Because you're gonna give up your last card and then block. And then it gets
it's
command
brutal.
and conquered the next turn anyway. So
Yep.
I love new.
Yep. And then he gets command and conquered again anyway. It's really good. It's like wow. But yeah, leave no witnesses. It's $20 is the cheapest one. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if this eventually creeps up to 30. I mean,
Arachne's good. It's gonna go up more. Like,
oh yeah.
Okay, but this came out back in Dynasty. So what are the odds that it's going to get reprinted with Hunted in the new Arachne? There needs to be a lot of reprints for Assassin because the Assassin deck is just insanely expensive in general.
I mean,
it's funny you mentioned that.
Reprinted as like maybe it gets a new art piece, or maybe it's an extended art or something.
I don't know if they'll do that. But it is funny you mentioned that. Uzuri is one of actually I looked it up, one of the most expensive decks to build.
She's not even very good.
She's not good, but it's Assassin. It's the Assassin archetype.
Mhm.
And all the generics.
Yeah, mainly it's because I think as Assassin you run Warmonger, so you're already looking at $80 a card there, and then 100 for each CNC, and then 80 for each Frailty. So right there,
220 for your tunic.
Yeah, so you're almost at $1,000 and you haven't even touched any of the cards. And then if you're playing already deads and all the other things, you're just like, well, that's $30 a card. Well, that's $20 to leave no witness.
Surgical.
Well, surgicals are about $20 a card, and then you want to like, it's weird. Some of their equipment is so cheap, and then some of their cards are also so cheap, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, but these like 12 cards you really need are the entirety of the value of the deck, and they're massive.
Yeah,
it's an expensive archetype. It really is. Very,
it's so
very
much
expensive.
fun to play though.
Oh yeah.
I'm just really grateful that I managed to get into Assassin right after Lexi LL'd and all of the Uzuri stuff was dropping because Uzuri's matchups were terrible. So, all the extra codexes were coming onto the market and nobody cared about Uzuri. So I found it at the perfect time.
Anybody who got in when those codexes were still back on that like $20-$30 range, and like people were like, oh, like 35-40, that's high for a Frailty. And I was thinking, yeah, that's pretty high for a Frailty. And now I'm thinking, man, that was that was
good deal.
That was a steal back then. Can we go back to those days?
Have you even read that card? Jeez.
Man. Oh, okay. But yeah, leave no witnesses. I don't think they reprinted. I think when it came out of Dynasty is a really weird set that they're gonna let be that jack of all trades set.
It's readily available too. It's not like it's hard to find Dynasty. I think every LGS I go to has a box of Dynasty sitting on the shelf.
I don't think they reprint it yet, but we will talk about some cards that they really need to work about reprinting, and it might be something we can segue if we have some extra time after the market minute. The next card that I want to look at that I actually just clicked the tab off, but I'm going back to it, is an old staple of Donnie's very favorite card. When it first was released, he was probably, I think, the most excited out of any of us about it, and that was Wax Off. And I just I just want to keep talking. I want to keep on it. Wax Off is still a $12 to $13 card right now. I want everybody to understand that I think it is well priced at that.
Thanks a lot, Sarai.
And I really just want everybody to understand that that Wax Off is actually a real card. People pay for it. Contrary to popular belief, zero cost blue.
I'm eating those words. I remember specifically.
Look, to be fair, none
of
us were super high on it. I'm always just contradictory because I'm like, there's value in everything. But I think it's an okay card. I mean, if you played a Wax On this turn, which is another card that kind of chains with this, you create a Zen State token. It's a blue. It blocks for 2. It's a defense reaction.
Remember, so I want to comment on it. Remember that like turn-wide anthem effects are problematic, right? In Flesh and Blood. The same goes for turn-wide anti-anthem effects. And this one's and Zen State token is 2 turns.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't think anybody realized just how good Zen State was till everybody realized just how obnoxious and how many rune chants could be generated. And so then you kind of put them side by side and you go, well, if you're doing this, then I have to do this. And it feels really good.
Yeah, thanks, Viserai.
I've seen some Zen States eat up like 17, 18, 19, 20 rune chants across 2 turns easily.
That's crazy.
And it happens at instant speed too. Well, it can't happen with wax on, wax off at instant speed, but you break the Kasaya at instant speed. It's one of the ways that you do it with Zen. Wax on, wax off is a little bit more balanced there. You can't, it's an attack, it's a defense reaction, so you get to pop the rune chants before they ever have a chance to make it. But still.
Still a very, very good card. Spinal Crush, always like to touch on it. $10 a card still. So if you're looking at Guardian, it continues to stay pretty high. Good for Guardian cards. It probably goes up a little bit more when that Mastery set comes out. So if you're worried about Guardian or you're thinking about it, those Spinal Crushes, get them in white border. They're about the same cost, $11, $12 as black border. Rainbow foils are like 30 plus. Anything from that older set, you guys are going to be paying that tax on for rainbow foils heavily. Rainbow foils will almost be about 4 times the amount as normals, if not more. Because like when Glint's going back up right now, but like anything that is being bought up normally, the rainbow foils on those older sets, they're just so hard to find. Like who's opening cases of WTR Unlimited? Like there are people, but not that much, and it's hard to find. And again, we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. But get your Spinal Crushes, guys. Right. Get your Guardian cards.
Unlimited doesn't have RF in it, right?
It does. It just doesn't have pull foils, but like it still has RF Majestics and things like that.
Okay.
First edition Spinal Crush rainbow foils, man, I don't even want to. 250, 300 a Spinal Crush probably. If that. Flick Knives, I'd probably pick this up if Cinder's any good. I think it goes up again. I think all assassins are going to end up being on Flick Knives, right? Even Arachne. I don't think Arachne is using Shriek Razors or anything like that. Not yet. We're waiting on the assassin that used that. But Flick Knives are up to $60 almost for the rainbow foils. Almost tripled back at their $20 price range or below. And no surprise. You got a ninja coming out that wants to throw multiple daggers a turn. Going to be abusing Flick Knives.
Yep. Syndra will be very strong with Flick Knives. And in fact, like I think she's built around the card, right? Unless they come up with some other way that you're getting rid of your daggers, she's built around Flick Knives. Man, she's gonna hate Jarl. Like
she is.
Breaks her gloves off of her.
Now this next card, I'm still mighty high about. This is another Guardian card. Might want to get it before that Mastery pack as well. And that Stamp Authority, I'm on it like oh man, I'm sitting on a lot of copies of this, so every time I see this card go up,
you're hedging a bet here.
I'm hedging a bet. It's really good, really good. It's up to $10 a Stamp Authority for the bases. They are up to last one sold for $15, $16, $17 for the rainbow foils. First edition rainbow foils are $40 selling.
Are you buying them? Are you inflating the market? Is that
I'm not inflating. No, look, I just came back. So my store's been hidden the entire holiday season. I haven't touched anything since before I left. And so I came back and I was like, oh, Stamp Authority. I'm pumped about this card.
Is it Jarl players? Come on, guys. Don't put Stamp Authority in your Jarl deck. You already have 6 other cards that you want to play that basically time walk yourself. You don't need Stamp Authority time walking yourself too.
But Jarl's on the picture of Stamp Authority. And so at least I think that's Jarl. It looks like Jarl. And so it fits, like you want to play a Jarl card in a Jarl deck. I still think it's a really good card. You guys keep doing what you're doing. Get that up to like $15, $20 a piece before rainbow foils come in. I'm all foils, so I'm not worried about it. But just let me know, Stamp Authority. Keep going up. Speaking of which, Imposing Visage, same thing. It's almost at it's continues to climb even after its initial surge. So when it shot up initially, It has a 3-month increase of 2,238% and a 1-month increase of over 80%. It's a $16 card right now, which is wild. This thing was literally under $1, not end of October. I mean, you could have bought them for $2 a piece. We're sitting at $16 a card. Healthy $16 a card.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like rainbow foils are right around the same. So about $20 for the rainbow foils. Very
it's just a really low opportunity cost blue block 3 that you could put into your deck.
Yeah, and on a weird turn, you can kind of aura something out for setup that you weren't going to do anything other than swing weapon anyway.
Yeah, there's like a lot of good options.
Or I guess you could swing weapon with it too, yeah.
It gives you a really like high pitch dump that you can use to like do pitch stacking with.
Yep.
It's a blue that you could block with and New's not going to kill you with. So
yep, that's also very fair. Then switching into some speculations, as well as just one other kind of meta card. That all you got to continue to trend up. I actually think this will go up even higher. It is a very meta dependent defense reaction because it is 1, a yellow, 2, it only blocks for 3, so it's a 0 cost yellow defense reaction. That's generic. It says when this is defending an attack with 2 or less, when the combat chain closes, draw a card. Reason is a lot of daggers, a lot of pokes, probably for 2. I like it. I don't know how high it goes, but it has jumped back up from like its $5-6 range. It's back up to $10 and kind of growing. Its ceiling usually is $15-20 a card when it is in meta. Back when it was like dual-wield warriors were everywhere and everybody had that all you got. It was roughly about $15-20, and so I kind of see it gradually going back there. If Syndra and the new warrior are aggressively throwing 2 and belows, it just makes sense. It's a way to block the damage without giving up the card out of your hand because you're going to get it back. So it does feel good. It's like, okay, I don't want to leak that much, but I need to block your attack.
It lets you win the math game, right? Where if you're in a match where the math is very tight, that extra card, that's an extra like 2 points that you've generated out of your deck out of nowhere. Also, it helps you push through your deck faster too, right? You block the tag, you draw a card. Feels good. It's very good in the warrior meta, in ninja meta, and it's pretty good versus assassins as well. Some heroes play it better than others, like Prism liked it quite a bit because it's still a yellow.
Yeah.
Still good against Zen.
Yep, because I like it.
That, yeah, you can throw it against the stick, really right? Stick comes in for 2.
It's really good against Zen. That's true.
Yeah. So I feel like when you add like, okay, Zen's running rampant. Now we've got 2 more dual wields coming in. Like this is going to be a card to take a look at, guys. And then just some wild speculation. Scabskin leathers, I think, are going down lower than they've ever been. They're getting that tectonic platement treatment right now. Where I told you guys, like, they're going down to like $20 a scabskins. I think they're 30 right now for rainbow foils. There's a couple lightly playeds, and then like 25-ish to $30, especially for the white borders. This is a 40+ card easy, and this is a good segue. Although the last card I want to tell you guys is Dishonor. Buy your Dishonors. It's $4.20. That's criminally low. One day Katsu will be back, and Dishonor is way too good of a card. I'm serious. Just that's criminal. Dishonor comes back with vengeance once they figure out how to fix Katsu. And that second Gust Wave, unfortunately, will be part of the plan because they want you to buy that. So just buy them both in tandem. Just so you're aware.
We might see once Sen hits LL, they might unban some colors of bonds.
Yeah, they might.
They might go. They might go. We might ban. They might ban the blue. Unban the blues and yellows, right? Unban unban the reds. Keep the yellows and blues banned. If you leave the blues banned, you can't use Mopple, Mask of the Pouncing Links to fetch it.
Right.
And then the yellows, you just like lower the density. So the reds are the least degenerate of your options to have in the deck.
Yeah, you only get 3.
Any of you guys experienced Katsu players, there is nothing worse than drawing red bonds when you can't use it. That card is game losing. You don't want to block with it because it's your gas. Nope. You can't swing with it because it's a red. Nope.
It sucks to pitch
so
because it doesn't even turn Kodachis on.
Arsenal too.
It's so bad.
Like, man, I want to put this card in my arsenal. It's so good. And then you draw your next hand. It doesn't play bonds either. And you draw your next hand. It doesn't play bonds either. Then you get hit with a Command and Conquer, and you're just like, oh, why did I do that to myself?
Mm-hmm. So I could see that, but good segue. Scab skins, anything from these older sets, WTR guys, Sync Belows are almost $4 a card. I think they were actually the highest selling card, if not in 2024. I'll check the math on that because I know there was somebody doing like a Twitter like top 5 or whatever cards sold. But I would actually no, I know this for a fact actually because I think I looked at the TCG players sold like #1 selling single and it was Sync Below. Sync Below is $4 a card. Okay, out of WTR as a comment. It continues to grow. This isn't like Sync Below is sitting there like there's hundreds of copies of these and they just continuously go up. So either people are getting lazy and they stop want to swap between their decks, there's new players, but either way, these older WTR cards, this is why I talk about Scab Skins, Tectonic Plating, these cards are criminal at 25. These sets are not in distribution anymore. There is not an influx of WTR running around, unlimited, Arcane Rising. These cards are going to become so hard to find. If this is an eternal format, if they don't get reprinted 5, 6, 7, 8 sets down the road by the end of 2025, we could talk about this because we could start this on next year. I'll remember this. They will have almost doubled in price. Yep. Fate and sake. If like they don't, I call it right now. They will have almost doubled in price by the end of this year because it's inevitable. The cards continue to stay so good. The set continues to get so harder to find.
And it's not like you could really reprint them either. You're not going to use an expansion slot for them. Maybe they make promos that are easier to get. Maybe they come in the gem packs, like a cool gem pack.
Yeah, like the armory or something like that. Maybe they could do like the armory packs and stuff. But like even then, it doesn't drive the cost down.
It doesn't, but it does make it makes them they're shinier ones, and so.
We need History Pack 2 is what we need. A real History Pack 2 that either white borders again and everybody's like upset about it, or
maybe they just ban Sync Below.
Yeah, or they ban it. I'm okay with that too.
They keep coming out with other interesting D-Reacts, especially class-specific D-Reacts, and they eventually just say, all of these like extremely crazy defensive tools that we've had in the generic pool for a while, let's get rid of them. Old hat, let's ban them for a while, see how the game goes, and we can unban them later.
There's just no downside. Nobody, like, remember when we talked about what are the first 6 cards you think about adding to a deck, or at least the first 3? The first 3 are always Sync Below. Why the hell would you not? It's hand filter and it's a 0 for 4.
Think if Scar for Scar was unconditional and let you filter a card.
Oh, like it'd be the first 3 cards you play in every single aggro deck. It would, and that's literally how these people. I'm gonna build a deck. I need some defensive options. I will grab my 3 Sync Belows. I would like another set of defensive options. I will grab my 3 Fate for Saints. And then outside of that, that's when you start going, I don't know about
now it's time for the class-specific ones.
Now it's time for the very class-specific ones. And if you happen to have some good ones, that's cool. But, like, they're just so good. And they're increasingly hard to find. Scab Skins, guys, seriously, 25's criminal. You don't know it till you know it, but welcome to Wraith. Foils are not going to be readily available in the next year. So like this isn't something where you're just going to walk up into a store and pick up some WTR Unlimited and go, I'll just crack my own Scab Skins.
KO is just like 3 to 6 cards in his deck away from being extra cracked again too. Like he's always hovering right under there of being really, really strong.
Good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's still good because his ceiling, like he plays here, but the turns he can play up here. But if they give him any more to kind of get Reinhardt and the other brutes, then brute gaming just goes through the roof. The one that kind of always sits on the outside is Levia because she's got the shadow brute where she can't take advantage of everything that comes out for brute. But when they make the card for Reinhardt, KO usually comes out and goes, well, I want that card. And if they make a card for KO, then Reinhardt goes, well, why couldn't it just be a 6? Because, you can't give Reinhardt too many blue 6s or the game's over. I don't know. I'm sorry, Reinhardt. They got to fix it. They need to errata him. They need to errata that hero and redesign it because Intimidation it's either too broken or too flesh and blood linear. Like it's the most flesh and blood mechanic ever. Hey, I'm supposed to interact with you. No. No interactions, please.
He'll just be an evergreen noob trap for forever. I mean, he's good at teaching you fundamentals, to be fair.
He does. He's a very value-based deck.
So,
real quick, while we're on the subject of KO, My League That Means Nothing game came out the other day, yesterday or day before, and it was my KO versus Olympia game against Josh Lau.
Mhm.
And if anybody out there listening has any interest in watching absolutely horrific KO gameplay, go check out that video. Because I will teach you what not to do consistently, turn over turn over turn.
you got a voiceover play-by-play where you pause and go, now this is what I wanted to do.
Right. Because spoiler alert, all 3 of my swing bigs were randomly discarded.
Wow. Well,
yeah, it was that kind of game.
You can't
but
swing
still worth
big
watching.
if you discard
it. Was fun.
Hey, maybe that saved you. Maybe you would have given him like a free quicken token, and then he would have beat your face in with it the next turn.
Oh, he beat my face in anyway. But anyway, it was a fun game.
Olympia.
Let's do in the last like 15 minutes. Let's just talk about like what was 2024 in Flesh and Blood. We started off with heavy hitters. We had the celebrational, the cool. I'll put it in quotes because I didn't like the original card. Brody Spurlock custom card.
Yeah.
And now going into the new year, a year later, we've got that cool card, Spurlocked. I actually think the card is pretty fun. I don't know if it's going to get played at all, but it is fun. Then we had Part the Misfail, which I think everyone is pretty solidly thinking that this is just like 2.0 of Tales of Aria. As far as like how it affected the game, how dominant the heroes were in the meta. It's just Tales of Aria again. And then we had kind of the other end of the parabola. We had Rosetta. Heroes that are fairly strong, but a little bit eclipsed by how strong Part the Misfail heroes are.
But that's good because there's room to grow with those on the Rosetta side of things. At least, like I feel like good identity, good foundation, good room to grow. Where I think Misfill just came out with too much. I mean, it's a new talent, right? Because it's Mystic. Is that right? Is it talent? And so it's hard. I mean, I feel like they made 3 illusionists in terms of like how people equate the game. Like, oh, illusionist is so hard to play, And they made like 3 illusionists. They made like 3 really, really strong heroes with a new talent, and it just everybody else just felt like, well, this is crazy.
And a triangle of them playing Flesh and Blood is fantastic.
Right.
If everyone else outside that triangle struggles.
If you're a new Enigma or Zen right now, I think you actually feel like you're playing a really, really good game. You're like, yeah, well,
it is a really great game. I mean, it's a completely fair and balanced game. Codex of Frailty is a perfectly fair and balanced card, especially when Leave No Witnesses is in your graveyard.
Neither of those cards are part of the Misfail. But I don't even really have a problem with New. I think she's really skill intensive. I think she's pretty fun to play against. I know a lot of people hate disruption and trying to guess what attack reactions your opponent has in your hand. I enjoy it, but anyway, I think it's really like the bad taste of what Zen was with Art of War and Bonds. And then like we just got rid of Dromai. And then we have to deal with a giant 10k punching you in the face, or instant speed mirror guy swinging at you like tunic counter 8 damage, go again. Like,
yeah.
Ooh. So
yeah, it's a lot.
I don't think it was a net negative effect on the game. I do think Flesh and Blood and LSS should try to do better. I don't think they foresaw the Zen deck. I think if they foresaw it a bit, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Well, to be fair, they did say that Zen was the hero that kept breaking over and over and over again in development. And they tried. They tried to work out as many bugs as possible, but I mean, they missed the bonds thing. I mean, when you're trying to put out a whole bunch of fires, maybe you miss one. It's understandable.
It's hard, right? Because these are like developers that are playing their game and all that, but it's one of those things where you almost want to have like a team where you like you got to do like NDAs, but you need some of the smartest minds in Flesh and Blood, even those that aren't playing, that just do like the deck theories and things like that are just sitting there connecting the dots. You need somebody behind the scenes to go, hey man, you're looking at putting this out. The interaction is broken because of this. Like you got to, like how far does their scope reach? Because it's like they put things out, they feel are pretty well tested. I'm sure they are,
but you can't give competitive players that edge. You can't.
Right. That's true. And that's what I'm saying. You need like a team of players that like can't play competitive anymore. Like
Yeah.
that they get like sidebarred and they say, look, your only thing is you got to tell us where this card's going to break the game. We put it
Like,
out.
are you going to ask
that
Michael
point, why not
Hamilton
just
to
hire
not
them as
play in a
employees?
tournament for a year? Like,
Yeah, just ask Michael Hamilton, NDA him, and say, look, no tournaments for a year. Here comes the new cards coming out. Can you tell us where this all goes wrong? Because it's like, I don't know. It's hard. It's card games. They do fix things pretty frequently. The one thing that I will say, we talked about at the beginning, I want to throw that set out there. I want everybody to understand it, is that there were 17 new heroes in 2024 and only one LL. That's, to me,
That's a problem.
is a huge problem. We have talked about it time over time, but if you continuously make 17 new heroes, LL one of them, how are you ever going to, like, heroes need to have an identity, but you can't keep putting out new sets, because then it's just like, oh, okay, now I have to keep getting these new cards. You're gonna run into a weird problem where you either have people running out spending more money or get new hero.
and we get 4 new heroes in the hunted.
They got to stop it, man. Please stop making new heroes. Please. Guys, if you make another 17 in 2025, what are we going to do? There's going to be 50, 60 heroes, and only like 10 of them are going to be really playable in meta. And when I mean really playable, I mean really playable.
It's such a hard thing to do, like, right? Because you want to have all these heroes, you want the game to be exciting and constantly refreshed, and you want
new players and new,
and then, but you need to bleed the heroes out of the game too, and you're adding this many. But like, you try to bleed the heroes out, and then it's like the cream of the crop. Those heroes are like zooming out in like 90 days sometimes. Like, it's tough. Like, it's, how do we do the points distribution? There's been like talks like, okay, don't do it only to the winner. Maybe do a point distribution of the top 8. And
but then you're punishing decks that can't necessarily win, and then they get LL'd regardless. Like, could you imagine if I LL Dory on a top 8? I'd be disgusted.
Why is Dash going to sit at like 950 points for 2 years?
They need to stop making new heroes and shore up the decks they currently have, starting with the oldest back.
Well,
because
what are they going to do?
otherwise,
Are they going to put a notable card or two to buff Dash just to push her by 50 points?
But it's a card that will get played in a future mechanologist down the road. Like, so it has to be double edged. But this is why I think they've backed themselves into a weird design
ban
space.
High Octane. How about that? Like,
no, but if they do give Dash something, why would Dash.io not play it? And then Dash.io goes.
Well, but there's a way to target Dash without targeting necessarily Dash.io. But there's also a way to just give Dash and Dash.io a little push without necessarily breaking it. The problem is that they're not designing newer sets around, hey, how do we get the bottom end and like bring them in line? They're going, oh, these are cool new hero concepts, and they throw them out.
Shiny.
I think they need more specializations. Olympia got like one, and then he got a second one as an expansion. I think like heroes like Olympia, heroes like Rhinar, they should print more specializations, because specializations are very targeted, saying, hey, we want these decks to be more powerful. We want them to get living legend points, and we want them to move along. But we don't want to potentially have to do this thing where we're constantly banning cards once the hero that was targeted for this design is out of the game, but it compromises the game for the rest of its life because all our cards are evergreen.
What if they started coming out with sets that were more like not like the fullest type of card displays or whatever, but when they bring out like these newer sets, they're very specific, like specializations, or like, I don't want to say expansion sets, but that's really what I'm trying to get at.
The Guardian Mastery set.
Yeah, but like they have reprints, like, hey guys, Sync's reprinted in this set along with some new special, like there's some like, but it's not like a normal retail product where you pay $1 billion. Like, they've got to have something to kind of, I get it. Like, the only way to fix these decks is to design new cards and push them out, but you can't bring out I guess you can bring out an armory deck every month if you want, but it seems to be like that's how they're going to try and fix it. They're going to fix it through armory decks and through specialization and like guardian packs or mastery warrior, whatever it may be. But if they're going to continue to try and fix it in that timeline fashion and still keep making 80 new heroes, then I think there's a problem. Like, I think you actually have to fix it with those mastery and those armory decks and stop making new heroes. I think newer sets just need to be expansion or supplement. Like, I miss it. I know every set is supposed to be this draft thing
I
now where it
like all
has
the
its own
sets being
standalone limited.
draftable because they've been consistently bangers.
Yeah, I know they've been so good.
All
But
like, dude,
then
Rosetta
reprint the
Limited is so much
heroes.
fun.
Just bring older heroes back. Tell me in Monarch I have to play like Bolton again, and I'll be
You did it in
okay.
Outsiders. Oh god, man, dude, I got tired of doing Monarch, and that was only my first time doing Monarch. Do not do Monarch again. I'm good.
Well, there'll be a Monarch Part 3, and I will be okay.
Better
with
be
playing.
draftable.
I'm still rooting for that to be a three set draft. That's going to be Monarch, DTD, and the new one.
Oh yeah,
right.
One of Monarch, one of DTD, one of Monarch 3,
and bring out no new heroes and just let us play with Prism and new Prism.
Maybe
and
one
Vincent.
or two. We don't need 4 new heroes a set, right? You
Maybe
could
just
shove
one.
Bolton in, or you could shove like Vincent in or something.
Yeah, like a max of 2 new heroes per set.
Yeah, like
Vincent's
or just
pretty bad and limited. Never mind.
or just one, like one really good. Why can't one hero per set? You get it. It's focused. It feels good. They got their own light, and then you get to see how that one hero comes in and interacts with it. When you throw out 3 heroes, things get crazy.
Some like hero specific card games kind of do that, right? They like release a deck of a hero that has a bunch of support for that particular hero, even though they could take cards from the greater pool of the whole game. I don't know if Flesh and Blood really wants to do that. They're kind of doing it with the Guardian Mastery Pack. I mean, if that has Valda in it, and that's the main product pushing her, that's essentially what the Guardian Mastery Pack is. That's kind of what the Armory decks are too. So we haven't gotten a new hero completely from the Armory set, except for Jarl, which is like the Armory Plus. I'm just talking about the like lower level. I don't know if there's going to always be that tier of Armory Plus, but we'll see. I like where their product line has been. I just think that the Living Legend system is being strained the hardest it possibly can.
So is that the biggest lesson from 2024? Is that they need to slow down on the hero production?
Dude, there's too many heroes, man. I'll say it. The next time I ever get a chance to speak to James, I'm just gonna be like, look, man, maybe you've heard this before, but I really like new heroes. It means new cards, and like, but what happens when the game's at 100 heroes and only one's LL'd? Like, what do you do when you now have 99 heroes in an active pool to balance?
It's not even that to me. I don't mind a big hero pool, but when the heroes that are all at the bottom are the same 10 to 20,
right?
That's not great, right? Because you're almost like they're going to stay doomed forever. Like, people are going to look at that and be like, okay, they're the ones farthest away from Living Legend. I'm going to get those, and they're going to have a bad play experience because those heroes suck. Or they're going to go, those heroes must be bad. I'm only going to buy into the hero that wins games, which is fair.
That's a fair assessment.
That hero Living Legends, and then they have a bad experience because they wasted a bunch of money. And
their hero Living Legends.
That's what I'm saying.
After they bought in, yeah.
This is that standard Magic, but not as bad, where they bring out like standard rotates every 4 sets, and you have to spend $1 billion to get a new standard deck. It's almost this. It's like, okay, well, I've played my standard block and I've played my Lexi and she's gone, and now I've got to switch to my new one, and then I'm going to play it for 90 to 120 days, and that one LL. But then the Dories and the Reinhars and anything Arachne, at least right now, like, they sit there at the bottom.
And maybe that's what they've decided they want to do. They're just going to make these heroes. You can choose to play them or don't, and the ones that are kind of mediocre will just stay mediocre, and there'll be
because
there's a large pool of playable heroes.
There is a large pool,
yes.
but the word playable that I'm putting quotes around is like, you can play any hero you want, but we're talking like what's going to win you a game. Any hero I think can particularly win at a certain time, but I just think there's heroes that are doomed. Like, there are heroes that you just cannot play, I guess in certain metas, but just at all. Like, I don't even think there are certain heroes that aren't specifically meta bad. They're just bad right now. They're just not good heroes. Bravo is one of those heroes. Okay.
Let's be real though. Those heroes have to exist. You have to have heroes. You have to have individual cards. You have to have things in the game that actually sucks, because those kinds of heroes actually excite people a lot of the time. They want to be the one to break this thing open.
The non-meta. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
there has to be that slightly more Timmy aspect of the game.
I don't disagree. I just think you're going to forever have an exacerbated problem in that long run if your generation is 17-1 every year or more.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm
that's
saying, guys. I want it so bad, but you've got to think about the long run. If you come at 2025 and go another 20 new heroes, and then you look at the game state, you realize you have 60 heroes active and like maybe 2 LL in 2024. What are we doing?
And the thing is, if these heroes like push down some of these really powerful heroes like New and Enigma, keep them from like getting their LL points.
Then we're stuck with them for 8 years, because once the other heroes find, and who's to say it's not a never-ending chain where the new hero just keeps trumping the old one, and so we only get like 1 to 2 a year, and now New's sitting here, Azalea's still here, and you're like, well, good God, I've got
All
like a
these,
priority
like, super
system of these
gas
super
heroes.
good heroes.
You
And you're
look
like,
at
well-
Azalea and her card pool, you read her hero power, and like you're like, how is she still in the game? Like,
It's wild to me because she's so outrageous. She goes, I'm going to put a card in my arsenal, draw to replace it, hit you for about 16 with relevant on hits every turn, and dominate. And then you realize, disruption really
her hero
sucks
power
against
just straight up
Azalea.
says cycle a card, give it dominate sometimes.
Yeah,
It's so
like,
good.
Death Dealer is a broken weapon.
Yeah, and Death Dealer
Death
says
Dealer's-
cycle a card. Yeah.
it's crazy. And she still gets absolutely, jumbled by Dex and Jarl and disruption and things like that. She's got her bad matchups. I get it.
But
But-
can you imagine being a new player coming into the game and deciding that New is the be-all, end-all, I absolutely love this hero, and having to be told that in the next 6 months, she's going to be gone?
I mean, that's a struggle because Assassin, that deck's going to be really expensive. And
Enigma's going to be the same way.
Yep.
But New in particular, because the Assassin class is so expensive.
Well, if you look at like whenever someone posts on Reddit or anywhere, like, should I get into this hero? Everyone's like very careful to be like, buy into the class,
Right, not the actual hero.
not the hero. You
and
always
there's
buy
a-
into
yeah.
the class.
Marry
Always.
your class, date your hero.
Yep.
Is what I heard.
And that works perfectly. And I don't think there's anything wrong
Unless you're
with
playing
that.
Mechanologist, and then they just
Right.
ban the most influential card in your card pool and say, deal with it. Edge.
Not that anybody's salty about that, several months later.
I don't know. I think this is a tough one. I know they're trying to fix it. I get it. Armory decks and all that stuff. It feels good. It is the right step. Less heroes. There just has to be less heroes. There has to be less new heroes because
I get
we
excited
need.
when I see the older heroes in the draft set too. Like, they're
Yeah,
cool.
because it's a
It's new
feeling
life.
of familiarity. You're like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to be drafting around 5. Whoa, that's cool with some new draconic cards. Like, why couldn't that have been like a good callback? I don't. It just
Azalea was sweet in Outsiders. Benji was cool in Outsiders. Like,
Okay, Fi may not be a good shout out because Fi did win Worlds and he is very high up there on the LL leaderboard. So
oh, Fi's gone. Hunted's gonna push him. There's no way it doesn't.
I would assume so, but I don't know. I worry about some of these other heroes. I'm sure they're well. I mean, in their own rights, they're going to get time, but I don't want to wait for 6 new warriors to come out for Dory to be playable in a wide. And I'm not saying that that's really what it is, because she is, still very playable. But if I have to contest with 20 new heroes that come out in 2025 and trying to wait for Dory support, like, it just,
So
I don't know.
let's talk
It's just too
about,
much.
instead of what you don't want in 2025, what do you want Flesh and Blood to have in 2025?
History Pack 2 and actual reprints for some of these cards, and or finally rip the band-aid off and just ban all this old stuff out and throw the
That's more
whole
of what
game
you
into
don't
chaos.
want in 2025.
No.
yeah.
Like, History
Ban it.
Pack 2 was a good thing. Then you went back into the negative again.
ban all the Syncbloods and ban all the fates. No, History Pack 2 for sure. I think the game could really use a new white border to finish it out. A lot of people really do want that. So
I agree.
I mean, James, you started it. You got to finish it, bud. That or
Does that mean I can get
re-release it.
Marvel heroes of some of the heroes I love that were in between those, like, getting Marvels? I can get a
In
Marvel
white
Dash
border?
IO, please.
Oh,
Maybe.
that'd be awesome.
Maybe.
I really would like to see History Pack 2 because Where would it start though? Where would History Pack 2 begin? Where did
I-
History Pack 1 stop? What sets were involved in History Pack 1?
Like
I
History
wanna
Pack
s-
1 went the
I'll
first
find out.
3 or 4. So like History Pack
I
2
know we
would
got
probably
Arc.
be like Tales.
And-
But is that a
Hmm.
It was only the first 3, so it was only Welcome, Arcane, and Crucible.
Yeah, Crucible.
Which made sense because, and it still does, because
The
those are
History
still
Pack
some of the
doesn't
hardest
have
set
to go back
defines.
to Tales. They could just say History Pack 2 starts at Uprising. And say, hey, we're gonna reprint some of these like
Or
cards.
they could just,
They could go, we're going to cherry pick a bunch of cards and call
Right,
it an
right.
anthology and not
and
call
call
it
it an
History Pack.
anthology set. Yes.
Maybe it's just the untalented sets. Maybe they just reprint the untalented sets.
We gotta have.
I'd like
gotta
to see an
something.
anthology to give us more whiteboarder
Mhm.
cards for people who like whiteboarders. Maybe we get a couple alternate arts in there every once in a while. You know, our Marvel heroes that we didn't get a chance to get a hold of.
I would really like to see History Pack 2. That's probably my biggest want for 2025. I mean, maybe my second biggest one, because I still want to be playing new until December of 2025, and I don't think that's going to happen. But
I'm excited for Monarch 3, which is either this year or maybe early next year. So
2026.
So maybe we'll get the spoilers for it this time next year. So like right at the end of 2025. So super excited for that. Big Shadow stan. So love Shadow Heroes. I want more Living Legend events. I know people don't like them, but I had so much fun in Living Legend that selfishly I want more of them. I just want to throw another 120 rune chance at somebody.
I'd like a bigger reason to play Blitz. Like, give us an excuse to play Blitz locally. Like, one that everybody can actually buy into, because here around Atlanta, nobody wants to play Blitz outside of Skirmish, and even Skirmishes are sketchy.
Yeah, they're all Living Legend in the area.
It is tough. I feel like Blitz is always that weird format. Blitz is what newer players kind of most of the time, right, get introduced to, because you buy an armory deck or like a first strike deck and it's a Blitz deck. But I also feel like Blitz is almost like the worst way to learn, because then somebody just walks in with like the, LOL 2 turns and you're done kind of a deck, and you're like, wow, I didn't learn anything. I only learned that your hero can deal 40 damage in 2 turns.
But don't people say the same thing about Living Legend? About the Living Legend format?
Oh, dude,
but
you
I would
had to
teach somebody
explain
to
it.
play on Living
You had
Legend.
Blitz is
to
not that
played it.
shallow.
The decision point, the games were so good. Like, no, Living Legend is a fantastic format at the moment.
Living Legend is I've mastered the game and I want to play it at its unhinged form, and you go there. Blitz should be I have started the game. I am learning how to play it. I want to play it at its fundamentals. And so you know what they need to do? They need to make Blitz commoner only and just marry them together. And so
I
you
would
cannot
like
play
more push
that's
for
what-
commoner. Commoner format.
That's what you should do. You should say Skirmish is now Blitz commoner, and you make well-timed decisions under decks that are below power rate, and you let the flesh and blood mechanics speak to each other, because that way you've got newer players that can play on commons and rares. You learn the fundamentals, skill expression is big, and you don't have people coming in and womboing with these random, like, my Blitz game ended in turn 1 type scenarios where Reinhardt just goes like this and he says, hey, all your cards are now here and I've dealt 24, and you're like, well, that's me, that's my game, because I've had it happen
Okay, it swings at you
times.
for 20 with 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
It's like I've set so that's what I would do. LSS, I think that's a great one. Commoner and Blitz should be married together, and that should be, you should have commoner like events. It's good skill expression. New
More commoner
players can
events,
play
please. Agree.
commoner, or only like first strike or Blitz decks, no modifications. I'm gonna play Blitz Aurora versus Blitz this, and I'll call it like just Blitz decks. Play them against the same one. Enigma Blitz versus Enigma Blitz in a mirror match. Just play it out. Things that reward a newer player to sit down and like actually engage without feeling like they've had to do anything, and kind of get that mentality. Now I'm learning the fundamentals. Now I'm playing against an opponent. Now I'm playing a tournament, and I haven't done anything but buy my first strike deck, and everybody's on an equal playing field.
Okay, so sealed deck events that are actually sealed decks.
Right.
I could get behind that.
All right, Donnie.
That actually sounds like fun.
What do you
I
want in
think that's
2025? What do you want Flesh
perfect.
and Blood to do?
We should do that around us locally just for fun.
What do you want?
Oh, I just said it, dude. I just said I also want History Pack 2, and I would like an excuse to play more Blitz.
Okay.
That's my wish list. And at the end of 2025, I want to still be able to play new at a tournament. I mean,
No.
Oh man, that's a
I don't
big
want
wish.
that one's I'm not counting on that one.
that's a tall one.
But at least I think both Arachnes are going to be pretty good.
I think so too.
You have
And
Assassins
honestly,
to go to.
I'm thinking Slip Through the Cracks may be more my speed.
We call
Mm.
people don't even call him Slip Through the Cracks or Arachne anymore. He's just Slippy now. Everywhere I
Slippy?
see, yeah, he's just
Oh, I
called
love that.
Slippy.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I'm gonna need a Slippy.
I need a Slippy.
I'm gonna
That'll
need
be
a
the name of
copy
this
Slippy.
episode, Slipping into 2025.
Oh yeah.
There we
Okay.
That's perfect.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So,
But what
speaking
about
of
you, Thomas?
slipping, oh no, I said what I wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Well,
Well, we can
except for the
slip
people in
on
the
outta
comments.
here.
People in the comments, tell us what you want in 2025.
Yeah,
What's
and
on
I'd
your
actually,
fab wish
if you come
list?
up with good ideas, I'd like to discuss this more. Since we're at the beginning of the year, this is a good time to like ask for wishes and make resolutions.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have anything that you want us to talk about on the pod, anything that you want to
See, do.
talk to us about,
Right.
hit it up in the comments. I mean, I would love to do a mailbag episode once we start getting more comments. I mean, we've gotten a few here and there, but questions. If give us something
Whatever.
to interact with. Absolutely.
Negative, positive, all over the place. Warm, I don't care. Just send us out there. Feedback is always good, guys. But engage any which way you want. Same thing with the pack cracks, things like that. Whatever you want to see more of. Don't want to see any hot topics, things like that you want us to chime in on or not chime in on. But do tell us about your 2024 sort of what I really like, what I didn't like, and what you want to see in 2025, because that's always a fun one. Please, like whatever, could be something simple. You might want to get a dog in 2025. You know what? I hope you get that dog. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, like
Enjoy
I
your
want
puppy.
I want to interact with it too, but I don't have anything else. I think it was a really good way to come back and kind of talk about Flesh and Blood. It was a very light week. I think we're going to go right into spoiler season. Battle Hardens, we've got Memphis, we've got tournaments. I think that the new pro scene starts, right? They announced the 2025 circuit, 1.5 million, so we're starting to like go back into that now. So here we go. Let's get to the grind again with Battle Harden Atlanta starting it up. But Donnie, where can everybody find you on social media?
Draco Hominus 87 everywhere social media is sold, and also writing articles for Card Gamer. I'm doing their budget fab deck series, the latest of which was the Dorinthia Iron Song deck that was released and was written by me, but the deck list was built by my good buddy Noah, who knows a lot more about Warriors than I do. One of the comments I got on Reddit said that it was a lot like Boomer Dory. Like the old school Dory, back in the day.
That's because there was a Dauntless in there, and somebody was probably like, "What the hell's going on?" Anytime I ever open up against Dauntless, somebody will literally look and read the card and go, "Are you kidding me? What is this 2021?" And I'll go, "Yeah." I go, "Crucible of War just came out, and I don't like defense reactions. Pay one for that sync." And they're like, "Okay." No, I don't know.
But
I mean, it's a budget list. I like one-ofs. That's where my mindset was on in that. Just if anybody wants, I think Dory is one of those decks that excels the most out of playing one of. Singing Steelblade is literally a gateway into any card, and so one of attack reactions are usually really good. Dauntless is not necessarily in that. Don't worry. If we had infinite value, Dauntless would probably not be in the deck list unless D reacts were at like 15 per deck, and I just wanted to tax you. But it wins games. Trust me. I beat people up on Talishar with it.
So if you're interested in a budget Dory list for no longer under $100, because by the time the article posted, it was up to like 120.
What the
Dude,
heck?
It's because
Hunt's coming
things
out,
continue to come up. Did you know what the most expensive card in there actually was for a while? And it took me a while to realize what was taxing me. Precision Press was up to $3 a card at the blue. And I was like, why am I paying $9 for 3 blue Precision Press? I don't understand it, dude. It's a card that gets piercing and go again. And I was like, what's going on? How could this be $3? Just the blue.
Don't know. But anyway, that's where everybody can find me.
Thomas, where can everybody find you?
Wet the System on Wet the System Fab on Twitter, Wet the System on Discord. So, yep. If you ever want to talk, just shoot me a DM.
And I am at Big Max Fab on Twitter, at Big Max on Blue Sky. I crack packs every day, and I promise 2025 will be more content on the channel. Hunted, I definitely want to, if I do, get as many things as I want. We're still trying to finalize that. It's coming at a really weird time with taxes and all that, so I'm like, Lordy. But I'll probably have at least a case or two of the Hunted to open. I don't know how crazy it'll be off the rip. That set will be pretty expensive though, so it'd be interesting to see where these Majestics and these legendaries and stuff open up at with the increased MSRP.
Change. Yep.
So we'll definitely be on top of that, guys, going into it. But other than that, if we have nothing else, thank you for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week. And if you did, subscribe or follow depending on where you found us to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves. Welcome to 2025. And remember, we're all siblings in cardboard.
Happy New Year.
And look, Happy New Year,
people.
And that means it's a new time for Pummel, right? So 2025 is the year of discarding your card to Pummel. I swear, I promise you. It's not like some weird horoscope. So you do still have to, in 2025, read your cards in Pummel. Discard them.
If they ban Syncflow, they're going to have to ban Pummel.
You know, Pummel's $70 a card. Or 70 cents a card. Oh, man.
Oh, dang. Dude, inflation is crazy.
Welcome to 2025. Inflation's crazy. Pummels are $70. Figure it out. Take care.